Good morning, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. It's good to see so many friendly faces here. It's great. I'm Bart Bettiga, Executive Director of the National Tile Contractors Association. And it's great to have four of our emerging leaders and small residential contracting business owners with us in a panel discussion. It's been many years since we've done one on this. A lot of times we have architectural, general contractors, large commercial contracting, which we do have a session on tomorrow, but we haven't done one specifically looking at kind of the challenges that small contracting business owners face every day. And NTCA, if you don't know who we are, the National Tile Contractors Association, we've been as a trade association for about 78 years, and we have about 1,800 members, and a good majority of our members fit the prototype of what these four gentlemen have, which is either sole proprietorships or businesses with less than 5 employees. Over 50% of our members have actually less than 5 employees. So I think this will be fun, and I encourage if a lot of you are in that same realm, if you have small businesses and you want to ask questions or make a comment, this is meant to be an open discussion with all of you. Not so much a presentation, but a discussion. So at this point, I'm going to ask each of my panelists to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into some topics that we talked about as far as challenges that they face running their small businesses. Start with you, Josh.
I'm Josh Vassallo with Vassallo Tile and Stone. I run a business outside of Austin in a little town called Wimberley, Texas. I recently relocated from California less than 2 years ago. So.
What kind of work do you do? Is it high-end residential, remodeling?
High-end residential.
Okay.
I like the custom stuff. It's more rewarding for me.
And you're in Austin, Texas now? And how's that
Correct.
market doing? It was hot, and now it's not? What's going on there?
It's been pretty consistent for me. You know, I got in good with a high-end contractor and made some connections, and I've been busy since I've been there, so I've been very fortunate to.
And you're by yourself? You don't have anybody working? It's just you?
Just me,
okay.
Yeah.
Stephen? My name is Stephen Belyea. I'm a tile contractor out of Boston. My company is GSG Tile and Stone. We do mostly high-end residential. I'm an NTCA ambassador. I'm a CTI. I help with the CTEF. I've done some CTI evaluations.
You're on our Methods and Standards Committee. You've been coming to the show for several years now.
Yeah, 8 years.
And you have helped the trainers on the certification and help us at workshops and all around.
Anytime there's an event in my area, I always try and attend and help out the trainers, set up and break down.
And in your spare time, you're a hell of a chef.
Yeah, dabble in a little bit of cooking.
Yeah. He's I'm trying to talk him in. We have our annual meeting in Boston, Massachusetts in October called Total Solutions Plus. Look that up if you want information on that. It's a great event. I'm trying to talk him into doing something there for our members, because this guy puts on stuff on social media that is awesome. Matt?
Matt Blood with Paragon Tile Installation, based out of Rhode Island. I'm also a CTI. I am a regional director now for the NTCA in my area, and a small contractor. Recently hired a couple of employees, so I've just, in the last 6 months or so, gone from sole proprietor to now growing a small business.
You brought in 2 or 1?
I've got 2.
2 of them, and have they had experience before, or are they brand new?
Yeah, both experienced installers.
Oh, well, we can definitely talk about that. Chris?
Yeah, I'm Chris Resti. I own and operate Crest Tile and Mosaic in Rochester, New York, upstate New York. I do the installation. I also do the payroll, the marketing, and all that fun stuff that you all probably understand.
And remodeling work or new builders or
remodeling.
Yeah,
yep.
Mostly remodeling.
100% residential.
Word of mouth for the most part?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, well, one thing that I want to say is I don't know how they do it, but they've been really engaged with our organization and with the NTCA. And so 3 of them are in a program called Emerging Leaders, which are people new to NTCA or maybe under the age of 40. A couple of them might be pushing that, I'm not sure, but right in that area. But they also participated in our first ever artisan program, which was last year in Milwaukee. I see Lee and Jane are here, Callowart, who put that incredible event on. And I don't know how you do it, so I'm just going to kind of start with you, Josh, and maybe say just a little bit about getting involved with the artisan program first, and then that's segueing into the emerging leaders, and maybe what you've gotten from that and getting involved in the organization.
Well, I was in the Artisans Facebook group, and it's super inspiring posts and artwork involved with tile, and it was just like, and then they posted an opportunity to take the training to kind of learn how to do this stuff, and I jumped on it. It was just it's like the next level of awesomeness. It felt like I've been involved in everything, every different animal of tile you can think of, I would say, like from commercial to residential, tract homes, high-end residential. But learning this stuff and me being in the high-end residential market, it opens up a whole new world.
So you were in the artisan program that was a full week, an immersion of incorporating artistic elements into your tile installations last summer. Have you been able to incorporate that into some of your jobs?
Yeah, just even like the methods that I learned at the artisan training, such as pre-mounting and stuff like that. I've implemented a lot of that into my everyday work, but then every job that I'm on now, I try to pitch them with some sort of idea, or to have an artisan piece featured in their bathroom.
That's cool. And Matt, you were in that, and then we went into the emerging leaders, and I know that you've been working a lot on the business side. So share a little bit about how emerging leaders is helping you, and some of you guys connected from the artisan and have continued to work together through that process.
Sure. Yeah, the Emerging Leaders Program is kind of just opens your eyes on things you need to focus on. So it kind of gives you some direction and actually work on building yourself as a better leader to lead a good team. So that's been really eye-opening and certainly helpful.
And Chris, by going into Milwaukee and getting to know these guys, when you're a small business, you now have a network of people all around the country that you can talk to. Can you share on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the experience there, the training and making the custom inlays was amazing. But one of the great takeaways was just all the great people that I met. I mean, most of us talk constantly, and we share ideas and business ideas. I've called Matt several times, and we just have good conversations. And it's just amazing. I don't have a network at home like I do around the country. It was a great experience.
Yeah, so this is an example of what these guys did for a week in Milwaukee. It was incredible, and we're doing another program this summer with 15 more people, and so we hope to continue to build on that. And the whole concept of emerging leaders is to get our members to do the things that they're doing right here, to get out of their comfort zone, get comfortable being uncomfortable. I didn't know a couple of them were going to outdress me this morning, but it's great to, but this is what it's all about, to get involved in your industry, not just in our organization, but in your industry, and make these connections like this around the country. All right, well, we're going to get into, so what I asked them to do was to give me their top 5 challenges that they face on a daily basis in running their business. And there was a lot of common themes in what I got. None of them shared with each other, but we'll get into some of it here. It's hard for me to see, so I'm going to kind of go here. But growing your business, finding reliable help. That seemed to be a common theme with all of you guys. Do you hire? And Matt, I'll start with you. You said you just hired 2 people. When I talk to a lot of members, when they're looking, do I want to go from a sole proprietorship? Do I want to grow my business? Do I want to get bigger? Not everybody does, and that's fine. But when you do, some people have the experience of they'd rather take a kid at 18 out of high school than try to hire somebody that's 35 that maybe learned from somebody else and just thinks they know it all. But
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about your process of hiring and why that's a challenge, and what are you looking for, or what were you looking for when you hired these people?
So I thought I was looking for exactly that, somebody to start fresh that doesn't have any bad habits or anything like that, right? What I got was when I put the feelers out, start looking to hire, social media and things of that nature, these two gentlemen came to me. They were, my first guy, Arthur, was trying to run his own business, said to me, I don't like the business side of this. I see you're making changes, growing. I just want to set tile and collect a check. So I couldn't have asked for anything better. And Josh kind of ended up the same way. He fell into my lap almost the exact same way.
And they're both, well, have only been with you for a while. So what's your goal? What's your goal then now? Is to try to bring more business on and keep these guys going? And, what's your next step? How are you going to grow the business?
Next step, definitely keep them going, get some apprentices on board, kind of work with them, start an apprenticeship program so that we can kind of, just grow. I would like to have, I think, about 3 teams installing. I think we could fuel that fire, so to say, at this point.
And Stephen, have you had people before? I know you've said you've decided that you like to do your own thing.
Yes, I've had 3 employees in the past, young kids that, they seem like they wanted to stay with it. I sent them to trainings. I kept asking them, like, you want to do this? Because this is an investment on my part. I have to invest in you because when you start, you're not really making me any money. So it's a cost to bring in, the new guy and train them. So I'm like, I'm invested in you if you're going to stick around. And they're like, hey, I'm sticking around. So I sent them to like a studio workshop and, train them all the proper techniques and stuff. And then they're like, yeah, this isn't for me. Or they, you get the kids that call in sick all the time. And it wasn't reliable. So I was like, I can rely on myself. So if I found the right person that I thought I could hire and make them, successful, then I'd love to.
Chris or Josh, do either of you have anybody working for you now, or have you had them in the past?
I've had up to like 7 employees when I was still in California. It was, it kind of just grew organically. I had a lot of high-end general contractors, which was great, and and I had a good thing going for a while. So it's been quite the shift moving out of state, starting over with your networks and stuff like that. But I'm not necessarily in a rush to scale my business as of right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah, and I think I'm in the same boat. I'm kind of comfortable working by myself. I am, and I like installing tile, but as I go, I really enjoy the sales aspect and working with clients and troubleshooting and all the technical things. So I think down the road, I would love to just find a good, solid installer and then just be out there selling jobs and handling all those issues. I really enjoy that aspect of it.
So 3 of you have kind of decided to stay, but Matt's looking to try to grow. Matt, when you did this, have you, what made you come to that decision, and have you run some numbers as to what you need what volume you need to bring in order to pay for these guys?
Sure, that was the biggest thing, to make sure we had volume, to know costs. That was probably the biggest thing I've done in the last year or so, is really dive into what the business means and actually be able to work on a business, not in the business. So learning numbers, all the fundamentals that go along with it, to make sure we're setting ourselves up for success.
I think it's a good idea to know your profit margins, before anything, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And so how do you do that? I mean, do you do that on your own? Do you use an accountant?
Yeah, an accountant helps. In the past I've had a full-time office administrator, and just QuickBooks does a phenomenal job at
Do any of your wives work in your business or support you? And none of you, because a lot of our
my wife helps me.
I was just going to say, because with a lot of our members, sometimes their spouse is helping, pay the bills, do the accounting, help you be organized and things of that nature. So that's definitely different. How do you, being by yourselves, you're setting tile all day long. How do you use, networking as an opportunity? I know, we talked a little bit about the artisan program. Do you use social media? Do you market? Talk a little bit about the importance of networking when you're, a sole proprietor. Stephen, go ahead.
I stumbled across Tile Geeks, I don't know,
Yeah,
8 to 10 years ago maybe?
You're a pretty strong fixture on that group.
Yeah, I mean, I don't post a whole lot because sometimes it gets a little dicey in there, but I'm also an admin, but again, I'm not very active with Tile Geeks, but I was when it first came out, and I got involved, and we all met at coverings in Chicago, and we just started networking with all these different people and creating friendships all over the country, which is wonderful. I mean, there's a picture there. I don't know if you guys can see that. We did that the Tile Geeks project in Maryland.
Yeah, there it
You
is
know,
there.
A team of us all got together and donated all our time, and some manufacturers donated materials, and we worked for like 10 days, just working together, stayed in a farmhouse, and, you know, retiled all this stuff for, you know, a farm that caters to autistic children and stuff. So it was just a great experience, but just great people, you know.
Do you feel that you have a responsibility to straighten things out when people are wrong on there, or to try to give good feedback when you see? Because sometimes people are really looking for advice, and sometimes they get beat up rather than supported, right?
Yeah, it gets people. Everybody knows how social media works. There's any group that has people in it is going to have problems. There's going to be those attitudes, those bad apples, and it ruins it for a lot of people. And you kind of have to, you know, sift through it.
But there's a lot of positive there too.
Yeah, people are great. I mean, if you go through the information properly, you can really get a lot of, you know, valuable insight to what you're looking for. But you have to know where to go, and that's the NTCA page is a good page because the people that are on that page, they're there for the right reasons. They're part of the industry. I know I can go to that page
If they're not, we're going to delete the post probably, right?
But I know I'll get a much better response in an NTCA group than I will at like a group that has, you know, 30,000 people in it that all have their own opinions.
Yeah. Chris, what about networking in your own community? Are there other people that you bond with in your area that, as far as, you know, I know probably through your supply chain, but how about other tile installers? Do you network that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do. You know, for a long time, I didn't really value networking. I just thought I could do it on my own, but, you know, it's a valuable thing to have. And one thing that's been good for me is I've been joining some networking groups, and it's not just for like tile installers or construction workers, but, you know, it's like local business owners in my town, and it's a good referral network, and it's fantastic. So just joining those, and not only did it benefit my business to grow some clients, but I also found my accountant and my financial advisor, so it's really just helped my business on all ends.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, I mean, how do you factor the value of your time? Because, I mean, when we did Emerging Leaders, you emailed me. You said, do you think I would get something out of this? And I said, yes. So you were on the next plane out to Las Vegas. You attend our workshop programs, anything in your area. You'll drive a long way to do some of these things. You've come to Total Solutions Plus as a sole proprietor the last several years. How do you factor in the value of your time? And you have a family as well. And how do you find that has helped you as you now try to grow your business?
I think, it's just helped me as a person even, never mind just trying to grow the business, just being around, like Steve said, being around the people here and learning from the people, learning all these people are, you know, one lap ahead, you know, so to say. So you pick up nuggets you can from all these people, and that's same Chris said, networking locally. You can get that from other business owners as well, and just getting involved in the industry to do what I can to give back is what my thought is. Investing in myself now so that I can help the next generation.
Josh, you've got young kids too, right? Don't
Yep.
you?
Well, I have a 14-year-old son and a 1-year-old, and we're looking to have another
Congratulations.
One, hopefully. Well, not yet, but.
Oh, okay. You want one more.
Yeah. I think, you know, I agree with the points Chris and Matt made, but for networking, for me, just getting involved, putting yourself out there, things like this, the emerging leaders, being involved in the artisan movement, it's just that real world, real life, you know, connection that you make, those personal connections are invaluable. And they have really kind of fueled the fire, you know. If I've had a passion before, it just kind of has grown from being involved in the NTCA and you know, everything I've been involved with in the last few years.
Stephen, you've got, your kids are like in high school, aren't they? Or
13 and 16.
13 and 16. So with your business, what are you getting up early? Are you doing your bids late? How do you run your business around the schedule of and your wife works, I think, too. So
She works full time.
So how do you manage your time and your business?
So the kids are my priority. I'm home. I drive my son to high school every morning, and then I go to work, depending on where my job is. It's not too far away, but so I see my kids in the morning. I go to work. I don't work late, long days because I want to last and I want to enjoy life. I want to be home every night. I cook, like you said. But I'll pick my son up from school. I'm home for my kids. I coach my coach my daughter's hockey team. Like, so I make sure like that's my priority. So I don't work crazy long days, and I make sure I'm always home.
So can I figure out how the hell you do this and make a living?
I've gotten lucky. I work hard. I try and do a good job. I have integrity, and my builders respect what I do for them. So I don't spend a whole lot of time bidding all my jobs, and like I can go in there mostly and just do the jobs, and I'm in a position luckily that I can charge them what I need to based on the job.
Because you're good.
Yeah.
Are you all certified? Every one of you certified installers? Or
I am.
no? We got to get you on.
Working on it.
But you went through the artisan program.
Sure did.
And are you putting artistic? Have you done a few jobs?
I'm working on one now. I'm working on a 2-foot blue heron that's going to get installed in a backsplash.
That's cool. Okay, well, that segues to pricing and estimating. Let's see, we got pricing and estimating. We'll start with that, contracts, receivables. So how do you price your jobs? I mean, do you factor in time and materials? Do you do it by the square foot? I want to hear from all of you a little bit on pricing. And we see social media, everybody's like, I'm going to do a shower and a bid $3,000 and everybody starts beating them up. You're not charging enough. So, let's talk about how you price your work. You want to start, Matt?
Sure.
Okay.
I think one of the biggest things that was a hurdle to get over for me, and I think a lot of folks do the same thing, is the thing we value the least is our own time and charging for that time accordingly. We deserve to live a good life. So that was one of the biggest changes for me. It goes into time, goes into materials, making sure we're covering all of our cost of goods, all of our overhead, everything else gets factored in. And then that's where it comes from. Square foot price, it's almost laughable at this point to talk square foot price. And a lot of times we won't even we're working for clients that are either a designer is going to have a design or architects are going to have plans. We don't even talk numbers until we know what things are.
So, Stephen, do you look at what other guys are doing? You got Sal, people I know in Boston. Do you talk about?
Yeah.
Not that we price fix or anything, but how do you come up with? You live in Boston, which is a different market than where Josh might be. So,
Yeah.
how do you do it?
I talk to Matt a lot. Like we talk all the time. So I see how he's modeling his business. And I was at a point where I don't think I was charging enough for what I was doing. You start learning what the market value is and what your value is. And I did the Mind Your Business class. Was that last year, the year before? And
Right.
That's made me start thinking about. I need to start. My company needs to start making money, not just me. My business needs to be profitable. So I was, so I started, raising my prices and making sure I'm getting what I deserve to get. But doing high end, it's tough to bid jobs where my specific builders, there's a lot of unanswered questions when you get in there. So,
Are you in your jobs? Is your client the builder or the consumer?
So I work for the builder, but I always make sure the designer or the homeowner is involved. There's certain, details that they might want something different. And the builder's just like, oh, do this. But if I get them involved, I know I'm taking care of the customer because they're the end user. So I want to make sure they're getting what they want, not necessarily just what the contractors tell me to do. So I keep them all involved.
So I'm going to go to you, Josh. I know you have to understand your value, but at what point is it too much and enough? How do you factor in what you're going to charge when you give a price to your client?
Well, I think there's a difference between owning a job and owning a business. So, initially I'll price something out and I'll figure it out like on a calculator with the square foot, but then I'll double check that, reference that on how much I want to make per day, per week, and again, it's important to know what your profit margin is, and where you want to be.
And you've got to factor in your travel and how long you're going to be there on the job. And do you often price the job and you have to hold that price, or is there a time if all of a sudden there's delays or how do you work with your client, Chris, on that? Is it time and materials, or do you give a bid and you gotta honor and hold that bid, or you have to honor that price?
No, I have a scope of work form that I hand out with my estimates, and it just shows all the scope of work, and then anything that falls outside of that scope of work just goes into a change order form. Like prep, for example. If there's more prep than I allotted for, and I just give it to them like straight away, that they're prepared for it, but
And are you working with the builder or remodeler, or are you working with the consumer?
I work direct with the consumer, homeowners.
Any problems over the years with your pricing?
Nope, not at all.
That's great.
Nope. And because I'm very technical and I get into it right away of, I can see so much, but I can't see the plywood underneath and I can't see the framing. And that's pretty much the only issues that I run into.
We hear all the time from, a lot of high-end tile setters that they don't charge enough. So, where is that point, Matt, as far as the value of yourself compared to, charging enough for a job? And when is it gouging, if you will?
I don't know when it's gouging. Honestly, for me,
It's basically when they tell you when you don't get a job, right?
Yeah, so I guess at some point you're offering your services for what you feel it's worth, and it's up to them to accept it or not, right? So, I mean, for us, I can talk for me, we basically work on trying, again, cover all those things we talked about, and we look for a 50% gross profit on a job.
There you go. That's good.
And kind of unapologetic about it. It is what it is.
And just to piggyback off of that too, I'm not on the low end of my market, but I think what's important is that you show value in your price. I mean, I don't just install, you need to add extra value and show what you offer. And that's what really lands me.
And do you bring a portfolio of your projects? I suppose you don't have to anymore. You can just show it online,
I was
right?
going to say, marketing online and stuff certainly helps.
Testimonials from previous clients.
Yep. I just bring my koi fish everywhere I go.
Okay, contracts. Do you make your clients sign a contract? I'll start with you, Josh.
Every time I have my clients sign a contract, and it's very specific on the scope of work, and then there's a unforeseen condition clause, so yeah, every time.
What's in it? What's in the contract?
I like to keep it basic, if possible. I like to have a one-page contract, just so it's, it's not. I used to have like a 10-page contract, but it's like can get
Nobody's reading it
monotonous,
anyways.
Yeah, so a lot, especially with the high-end builders, I'm usually signing their contract, so. My contract, I like to keep, brief and to the point, but also have some things in there to protect myself.
So you're signing their contract. Do you read it? What's in there?
Yeah, I read it in its entirety. If there's anything that I don't agree with or don't like, then I bring that to, if I want to negate anything, then there's, that's a conversation.
That's a conversation.
Right.
Stephen, do you do contracts?
I don't do contracts. That's where I fall short.
Really?
It's a business practice, but the builders I've been working for 10 years now. And again, they know I do all their work, and it's just, I don't know, we just have a
So, I mean, I think that's fascinating.
respect, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked for you. What do you have? How do you work getting paid? Is it? Talk to me about.
Depending on the size of the
they
project.
give you a down
I'll get-
payment.
yeah. If the project's big enough, then I'll take it. I'll get a deposit. If it's just a small, just a bathroom, the shower, I'm not worried because I know I've always gotten paid. Again, it's kind of flying by the seat of my pants. It's probably not best business practice, but
Well, your
it's
client's
worked
not
luckily,
your
so-
client's not the consumer; it's a builder that you
Right.
trust. So,
So-
you've developed a relationship, a trust relationship with your customer, to where you're not even asking for 50% down
Right.
if it's unless you need it to pay for materials.
I finished the job, and based on what the scope of the job ended up being, because it always changes. Oh, I have to end up doing prep or rectifying this, or they're adding this and whatever. So at the end, I get my bill and I get paid right away. It's been working great for 10 years.
Matt, how do you do it?
So we have actually two separate contracts, one for like direct-to-consumer projects, and then also if we're signing a subcontractor agreement, we also have one that we forward on to the contractor.
So in that contract, do you lay out what they can expect from you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they can expect from us, what we expect from them.
Yep.
A lot of times with the subcontractor agreements, well, a lot of times the conversations, like Josh said, are over payment terms and things like that, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah. Chris, any contract or no?
Yep, I have a contract. It's pretty basic, but, I always tell people, because there's not a lot of contracts where I live, people kind of get that look when you talk about
Where
your
are you
contract.
again in the Northeast?
Rochester, New York. I'm about an hour east of Buffalo.
Okay. And there's no contracts, not a lot with other guys like you?
Yeah,
Is
with
it in
other
the
tile
construction
contractors,
industry?
yeah. So I kind of get that deer in the headlights look from people, but, I like to tell clients that it really protects both of us, right? It holds me accountable as well.
Right.
I think that's really important. So I have a contract, and then I require a deposit just to get on my schedule.
I'm curious, Stephen, I know you're in methods and standards, and Matt, I think, are you in the technical committee now, or are you?
Yep,
Yeah,
and
so
membership and-
in your contracts, are you starting to incorporate, the standards as far as that you follow a method? Can you talk about that? Because I think that's important for our audience to understand that, maybe in the contract that you're not only saying the scope of your work, but you're telling them how you're doing this, right?
Correct. In every single scope of work, we build out which method we're going to follow. We're building a shower to this method. We're tiling your floors to this method, whether it's over concrete, whether it's over plywood, whether we're adding radiant heat, and walls the same thing. So everything is spelled out to the handbook.
I'm the same way. I'll even take a page out of the TCA handbook and, attach it. Like this is the method and with the code and everything, and all change of planes to be you're incorporating EJ 171. I think it's greatly appreciated because there's a lot of people that don't follow any rhyme or reason on anything, and they just kind of fly by the seat of their pants. So I mean, I'm very very into the details, and I like to know exactly how I'm going to tackle something. And if something's going to change, and again, that's a conversation, if there needs to be a change order or something based on whatever conditions that may arise.
Have any of you ever been involved in I don't want to say a failure, so, but have you been involved in a dispute? Let's talk about that. None of you?
I have not.
I did. I had one.
I'm surprised really that nobody else has been. But you had one with the client or with the consumer?
It was with the client who was the end user. But no, but my contract protected me, and I had all the materials, and I was literally on her job site.
Could you share what were they unhappy about? Just the expectation that they had?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see eye to eye. I'm a standards follower. I do everything by the TCNA book, and once I started going through and showing her all of the issues that I would have to fix, she asked me to pack up and walk away.
Wow, yeah, probably the best thing to happen to you.
Yeah, it was.
So the reason I bring it up is documentation. I think it's important that that when we talk to a lot of our members that they keep a file, they keep track, because sometimes they can construe an email differently. Taking pictures of your jobs throughout the process to protect yourselves.
Lots of pictures.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Is that how you do it? Do you keep a file on every job that you've
I don't have them well organized, but
Well, of course,
I
you
do.
don't.
There's food pictures, my kids' pictures. But no, I take pictures of everything, so I can always look back. I take it just for, peace of mind. If I was to have a failure, which I haven't, knock on wood, but I could go back and look at my prep pictures and be like, well, where would the leak have been, or what went wrong? Did I do that right?
From the moment I look at a job from doing the takeoffs or walking the job, I'm making notes in my phone, and I have a file right there. And then as I'm progressing in the job, I'll continue that note for that job, and then I can always reference that back if there's any question about anything really. So I'm not 100% of the time on top of everything, but it helps for sure to be.
Well, you're wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm the old guy here. Is there technology apps or anything that you guys use or that you use in order to manage your jobs or communicate to the clients? Have you used some apps?
We do have an app. We have a program we use called JobTread, where basically everything gets worked in through there. We can add photos in. The clients can see those, so they can see the photos we're taking through the step of the process, so everything's an open book. And we're doing this, we're taking pictures from before we start at framing, our prep work, testing radiant heat cables, all of that stuff ends up built out into a job. Yeah. And then it stays specific with that job.
Yeah, that's really cool, yeah. Chris, how important is communication to your client? When I remodeled a few years back, I had a couple of people that beautiful day, they want to golf that morning, so you get that text, I'm not going to come in today, but I'll be there tomorrow. I mean, how do you communicate to your clients, and how important is that?
It's very important. Because I work directly with the client, and I value that relationship. So all of my clients have really appreciated my excessive communication. So I try to reach out to them prior and try to get ahead of anything, and I walk them right through every single step. They're like right there, and they see all the prep work, and they really value all of that.
So, Josh, you said that you like to understand your profit, right? Do you look at how you're doing monthly, every quarter? Do you sit down with someone? How do you make sure and ensure profitability is continuing to happen? Because the way I see it, sometimes you price a job. You could have priced a job 6 months ago, and things could have changed. The material could change, or some other things could be going on. But you got to make sure you're profitable.
I think for me, it's been job to job. I look at what the profit was on a particular job. I've been recently trying to track my hours, which has helped, in the initial bidding process to kind of double check, that I'm allotting enough time to get certain things done. Working by myself has been sort of new for me. It's a two-man job, so it's been taking me a little bit longer to get jobs done. So that's been a challenge lately, but so it's been taking a little bit longer.
Did you used to work for someone, or you've always been, and then you've had someone working underneath you?
I mean, I've worked for, growing up in the trade, I've worked for
yeah.
several different, people in the union and things like that, and I became self-employed in 2007.
Matt, how do you plan as a small business for, I guess I would call it a rainy day, but I back in 2008, 2009, we saw what happened in the market, and then with COVID, good Lord, we saw how things changed there. How are you planning ahead to make sure that you stay solvent, if things get tight for
Sure.
you?
So that goes back to profit margins, right? Making sure that we're making money so that we can put money back away for the business in case that day does come.
But that's not always that simple to save money, right?
It's not always that simple, no. We're analyzing every project at this point with being new to this, having employees, making sure that I am estimating correctly and that we are hitting the numbers we want to hit.
All right. New business strategy. Do any of you, how do you market? I mean, Josh, you just moved from, you said, to Austin not long ago. Yeah. So how do they get to know who you are? What do you do?
It's always been really just referral based for me. I haven't I haven't really dove into the whole social media or marketing or paying for marketing
Facebook.
Side. It's always, I feel like if you do a phenomenal job with someone, the word will spread,
Do you go to the local distributors, dealers, introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's all in, creating those personal connections with people, because you see those distributors a lot because all I do is tile. So, usually I'm stopping in there at least once a week, various distributors. So I've gotten actually a few good referrals from distributors as well. So I think it's important, again, to really build your network of people and let them get to know you on a kind of a personal level.
Matt, Steve, anything about?
Well, I don't do much for advertising. Mine's mostly word of mouth, reputation.
Yeah, well, you have the one builder that you're just, that
I have
you've
a couple,
got.
but they keep me busy.
Yeah, Matt?
We are actually, social media helps. It seems like you'd think I'd do this more because I realize that every time I put my face on social media, it seems like something comes our way if we do good videos or whatever. So I should do more of that.
So you see that actually?
I do see that
people
actually
find
has-
you through
yeah.
social media?
Yeah, and one thing that was great for us last year, I joined the ASID, American Society of Interior Designers.
yeah.
We got a couple of awesome interior designers.
I've seen some of our members sponsor their kids' events, or you meet people through your children and through other parents. But I do know of several members that have joined an NKBA or ASID or NARI, a remodeling group, or even ABCs, Associated Builders and Contractors, and that's a really good way to network if you wanna grow your business. Chris, do you promote in the area, in the Rochester area, or?
Yeah, I do social media mostly, and I'm mostly referral based. But one thing I did was I joined my local home builders association, and we have monthly meetings, and I'm starting to network, and I had a booth at my home and garden show, which I would extremely encourage if that's something you can do. Not only did I meet a bunch of potential clients, that I met a kitchen and bath store that I started to do business with. They've been giving me a lot of work, so.
Josh, how do you schedule, like, if you're setting tile during the day, when do you do your estimates? How do you plan your day? You know, what's a typical Sunday for you as you plan your next week?
I like to keep work, and family time. It's like I'm super hyper focused, so I can't it's hard for me to mix the two, you know? What was it?
Like, so if you've got to go estimate or go do a field measure,
Right.
you know, when do you do that? At night or in the morning? You know, on the weekends? Do you work Saturdays?
Lately, I've been working a lot, like almost every day. But traditionally, I'd like to take the weekends off to spend it, you know, for my personal time and family time and stuff like that. When I first get contact with, especially a new client, I'd like to kind of get a feel of if they're the right client for me or not, because I'm typically higher than, you know, what would be considered my competition or people I'm bidding against. Usually I'm higher than them, so I like to, you know, give them an idea of what, you know, what I do, and, you know, I'm not going to be cheaper than everyone else, that's for sure. So.
Do you still field measure and all that matter, or can you do a lot of that without, with your clients now without actually going to meet with the client and give an estimate? If you're working with your builder, what's the process?
So if it's a builder that we've worked for, they'll send me plans. Generally, we do rough numbers off of that.
Right.
And then, but if it's a new client, they'll submit forms through our website, sending pictures along with that. We have a preliminary conversation based on what they want. And then if it makes sense that they want to move forward, we'll end up in the field.
Do you but you don't always have to meet with them? Is that?
Not always, no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Chris, same as you, or do you meet with your client at home?
I meet with the clients at home mostly, but I do have like a pre-screening phone call where we mostly talk about budget, because budgets aren't always realistic. And but you know, once we move forward, I find it really valuable to meet with the people and just make that relationship. Yeah. And
but you do pre-screen. It sounds like you pre-screen to
I
make
do.
sure that it's even in the ballpark of a job that you want to do. You could probably tell on the phone if you want to do that job or not.
Absolutely.
You get the scope. I usually ask for the scope of the work, what size, what tile, the tile pattern, timeline, you know, work on budget, get pictures, and then go from there. And then I like to meet the clients because it's nice to have a personal touch and explain to them and let them, you know, in a conversation, they'll realize that you know what you're talking about. Usually you can end up confusing them a little bit when you start rattling off certain methods and numbers.
Yeah.
I feel like there's red lights, or there's red flags, and then there's green lights, you know? Like certain keywords that people, you know, throw out there, like, oh, I'm not trying to spend, I'm trying to save some money, like, well, that's, you know, I'm trying to run a business, you know? Or like green lights, like, you know, we're looking for, you know,
We want it done right.
super custom job. We want it done right. Usually it's people that may have had a bad experience with a contractor in the past, you know? So.
Yeah, I could think of a few red light words that you guys
Yeah.
could probably run into. I think somebody said to me once years ago that, you know, a couple of the best jobs they ever did are the jobs that they never did, right? Because you can tell sometimes if that job is up your alley. I want to talk about suppliers. I don't want to name names, but, you know, how do you determine, I'll start with you, Stephen, you know, there's everybody here at the show. They want to sell you setting materials, they want to sell you, you know, tools. You know, how do you determine what systems you use, what products you use? Is it based upon the distributors that you do business with? So I'll start with materials that you use, but also distributors or showrooms that you recommend or use. You know, talk about how you manage your supplier relationships.
So I use what I find over time that is the most efficient for me as a one-man installer. I want to use the product that I can prep the quickest and, you know, be tiling the fastest. You know, so those materials, that's value to me, saving me time. So that's where I go to those types of materials. I don't know if we're going specifically. You want brands?
No,
We stick
I
away
don't
from
want brands.
But,
Yeah.
you know, so then I'm in the Boston area. There's so many suppliers that I can go to, but there's one that's close enough, and I go there, and you know, I get good pricing, and they have availability on all the products I want. So I'm not usually hunting or chasing for materials. So the accessibility is important.
I always hear, I've been using this for 20 years, and there's this preference with how you use it. But then on social media, a lot of people are sharing, different technologies and all that. So how do you go about picking your suppliers, or what setting materials you're going to use on a regular basis?
I think it depends on the tile you're going to install and the level of, how, it's like, it's every job is different, A lot of times I'll do a full-on mortar bed, a 2-coat float or a 1-coat float, but then some jobs I'll do all foam with the full system, and, and there's a selling point in that too. You get the manufacturer warranty, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, like, we are the warranty, so focusing on the high-end market, my main focus is to do the best job to my ability, and that, prep work, is it's all about the prep.
So do you then get yourself trained or versed on really everything, so that, because like, have all you guys learned how to mud? Can you mud walls? I mean, no judgment here. I'm just curious.
I started in mud work when I was like 13, so I feel fortunate to be immersed in that whole world. But also I think for me it's important to know every other method that I can learn and to know.
Stephen?
I've never mudded walls, but
Northeast,
I'll
you
mud
didn't
floors
have to.
and-
California
Yeah,
is a market where a lot of mud walls still happen. But do you?
I attend all manufacturer trainings. I go to, if anything that's in my area, I go to. If there's anything I can learn, any educational, options, I always go to them. So I want to know what's out there. I'm friendly with all my reps, even the products I don't use. I know everybody in my area, and that's important.
Matt, what do you look for in a supplier, like a distributor relationship around, and do they refer work back to you?
That's one of the big things. So we work primarily out of 2 of the tile shops in the state. They give our name out, we get work through them. So they each sell different systems, so we pretty much use one of those 2 systems based on where we got the job from.
And do you use your own setting materials, or do you use materials that they sell, or are you always recommending what materials that you want to use on the
We're
project?
always recommending the materials that we want to use.
So you control the setting material side, you don't control the tile side.
That's correct.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. Chris, how about you?
Yeah, I have the manufacturer that I prefer, but they're all rated, to the same standards. But when I choose them, I have a very good relationship with my reps, and that has really helped me decide which materials that I choose. I know that they're there for me, and I can call, and we just have a very good relationship. And the stores that I purchase from, I prefer just a good relationship. So there's a good dozen stores around, but the ones that I have, they value me and I value them. That's where I go.
How do you determine what setting materials you're going to use? You don't go by lowest price, you go by the best quality product that you can get that you need to go over that system, right? And then you charge for that. You incorporate your materials into your price so that you charge for it, but you don't go cheapest price, right?
Absolutely not. No. And I tell all my clients I use high quality materials. That's just built in. It's not an option.
It definitely helps to be certified, and like if I'm doing a new heat mat, it's like that's helped me to actually generate work as well, is to be certified in the different materials if there's a certification available.
Stephen, on social media, sometimes I see a lot of this. How important do any of you guys, I'll put it out, value warranties at all? Do they matter to you, or are you the hybrid guys that everybody uses something different in a shower?
Yeah. I mean, hybrid, I don't use that word, but science is what I sell. And again, like he said, I'm the warranty. It's my work. I'm doing it to the best of my ability. I know what I can put together.
So you don't have a problem using one manufacturer's mortar versus somebody else's
No.
grout? Yeah, if you're comfortable, yeah.
I use the products that I have the most faith in, that are most user-friendly and most efficient.
Because
Best-
you're
best for-
warranting
and the best product for that application.
Matt, you?
We will use all one manufacturer from start to finish. Maybe occasionally exception of maybe the drain will be different or something to that effect. But
Why do you do that?
a lot of times we do sell on warranty.
You do.
Yep.
You'll use their warranty
Yeah, we basically tell them the manufacturer's warranty, what that is, and we generally match it, to be honest.
So, Chris, do you, like in your contract, do you have like, I warrant my work for a year, or do you just say, I warrant my work?
I mean, in my contract, I warrant it for a year, but when I show up, I mean, I explain the manufacturer warranties and I stand behind that, and I just give them, I mean, they trust me, and I tell them that I'm here, and I do a fantastic job, and you're not going to have any concerns, and I'm here if there's any issues.
Do any of you leave instructions with the client as far as how to take care of the shower or the tile or the installation? And do you ever get called back on, referral type work or maintenance work? Maybe comment on that. Josh, I'll start with you.
pH neutral soap is always like, a good thing to bring up. There's like aftercare instructions I like to leave. From an early age, I was taught to leave the clients a care package, a couple extra tiles, just information, keeping that information on file as well, so you have reference in terms of what grout color you used and, just.
It feels like there's a marketing opportunity there to leave, instructions on how to take care of your.
Yeah, just that aftercare type, I think clients definitely appreciate that because I care about my work and I want it to last,
Yeah, I've seen over the years where people would call on a complaint and you'd go look at the tile job and it was the type of product they were having. Someone was cleaning on their tile and it was leaving a film on. So you do want to leave information on how to take care. Matt,
We have been leaving, just like Josh mentioned, we leave a care package behind. We actually leave the products that we suggest for cleaning. And we've actually got 2 clients now that we started with a bit of a maintenance type program. We'll come back in 6 months, a year, check everything, make sure everything's in good shape. And they've been enjoying that, so.
Thought we'd just share a little bit of examples of work. Stephen, I've got you up first. You do a lot of different work, but talk about this particular job that you sent me.
So this is pretty big ledgestone job I did for one of my builders. He wanted me to, it's one of those things where he wanted me to put it right on top of the paint. He wanted me to put all that weight, the 15 by 12 wall on paint. I'm like, nope. I said, my installation is only as good as my substrate. So
what did you do?
I actually mudded, I thin-setted Durock on the whole thing, thin-setted and screwed the whole thing before I set that. I think I used
Wet
that,
shim?
no, I didn't wet shim it. No.
Do you do that all yourself? Is that
Did it by myself, yeah.
Is that like a stack stone product?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice.
It was a fun project.
Matt, how about this one?
This was probably one of our favorite showers from last year, honestly. Some handmade tile, a lot of penny round tiles. One of the pictures that was on before was the floor from the same bathroom. Just a lot went into this, and this is from one of those designers that I got through joining the ASID last year.
Really?
Yeah.
You got that through that?
Yep.
That's great. I like this one, Josh. Talk about this job.
This was one of 8 exterior decks. It was actually the first job that I landed in Austin, Texas, out in the Bee Cave area. I made a connection with through like going to jiu-jitsu and meeting a high-end builder through that. So just like always, always talking, wearing my, my colors, my T-shirt. So, but it was, it was just me. Like again, so it was my first job when I landed in Texas, and it was, some of this I did a mortar bed, and I did the, a Ardex Watex system. So it was a great job. Challenge for sure. I love a challenge, so it was worth it.
Have all of you guys learned how to have you done self-leveling and substrate preparation is everything, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chris, this is a cool job.
Yeah, this is a commercial job from my commercial days. It's in a nursing home. It's a salon. It has glass mosaics, and I didn't work with a lot of glass at the time, and I just really wanted to do a good job to wrap all those corners. And he has a lot of obstacles and climbing around things to get it done, but we got it done.
That's great. Well, one of the themes of the covering show is health and wellness, and years ago we didn't talk about this as much as we do now. But with a lot of our members, sometimes we talk on a regular basis with our members, and there's just a lot of stress in your guys' lives, and especially I think in owning small sole proprietorships or small businesses. And I think it's important. I think you touched on that you've got lives outside of work. But so Matt, I know you've recently gone down the path of of getting really deep into physical shape, right? So
Sure.
maybe talk about that a little bit.
So, yeah, last year I did kind of just got tired of where I was at and took a hard left, I guess. Made a pretty good change, just committed, built the discipline to just stay focused and making time for me and working on me. And
To lose weight or to do what? What was the purpose of it?
I think losing weight was a healthy byproduct, to be honest. It was more about the mental game.
So what did you do? You joined a group or?
I found a program that I followed, a program called 75 Hard, Live Hard program. Kind of keeps you, it's a whole mental toughness program, so they'll say. But there's some physical aspects to it.
And how is it, how do you feel it's working, or how has it changed you, yourselves?
Totally changed who I am today. Yeah, I'm a totally different person, I would say, than I was even before the beginning of last year.
I
Stephen
also-
can
I can vouch for that.
I also did that same program, 75 Hard. We had this conversation before. But
Are you the one that introduced him to it, or did?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I think we met after.
we
We
both did
were.
it separately.
you
but
both did it? Yeah.
like you said, it was like us, building that mental fortitude. Like discipline comes before motivation. Like you could get up in the morning and not be motivated, but are you disciplined? I like to really challenge myself.
Yep. And that just rolls over into everything, your own personal development, work, everything. It just builds off of that discipline.
Steve, I think I know that you got involved in karate or with one of your sons.
Yeah, my son was taking Taekwondo, and that's when I was in the worst shape of my life. I was like, I gotta change things. This was that back in 2017, and I'm like, it's time to get active.
Are you still doing that?
I am not anymore. I did get my black belt. My son got his black belt, so we're pretty proud of that. It was good to get in shape and be active.
How important is it, because you're getting a little bit older, how important is it on PPE? You got to protect your knees, your back. Talk about that a little bit.
Always. I try not to go too much. We're lifting too much weight, and I definitely wear knee pads. Most important to me is silica. That's my biggest fear as far as PPE is protecting myself from dust.
So let's
I make
talk
sure
about that. So what do you use?
I have a HEPA vacuum.
Yeah.
I don't make crazy dust. I always use my vacuum when I mix in and protect the house as well.
So the days of the 4-inch grinder and just dry cutting blades, we don't do that anymore.
The wet cut or the vacuum.
Matt, anybody?
Same.
Yeah, you
Same.
got to, and with your two new guys, you got to make sure that they're following safety PPE direction as well, right?
And that was probably one of the biggest things, investing in all that stuff to make sure, because we're going 3 different directions, making sure everybody's set up for the same thing so they can protect themselves just as well as I want to protect
How
myself.
about you, Chris?
Yeah, dust collection is not an option. It's really important, and air scrubbers go a long way. Just routine stuff, and it's just become a part of my habit now. It's really not.
I'm
an
really
issue.
glad to hear this. Josh, what about you?
I mean, I'm a big fan of gloves, knee pads, lifting, very important to lift properly, know how to lift, not bend down to use your legs when you're lifting anything. Everything in tile and stone is heavy, besides like foam board, but it can be hard on your body, so you do it for years. I think it's just super crucial to, concentrate on how you're lifting. We get into bad habits of lifting the wrong way, and
Injuries can cost you a lot of money, right?
Right,
If you get injured as a sole proprietor, what happens if you're out with a back injury? Do you have insurance to cover you, or what is your process if that happens?
I don't have insurance currently, but I'm looking into it.
Yeah, I think
It's important.
that's a common challenge. So taking care of your body is really, really important for sole proprietors, that's for sure.
So my wife supports my business, but in that aspect, she has a full-time job with benefits, and I had to have health insurance, which is nice. So.
Yeah.
But if I got hurt, I don't even know I'd have to deal with that when it happened. If I couldn't work,
Yeah.
now I'd be scrambling trying to find people to,
Your
sub
medical
them out
bills
to
are-
cover my,
Yeah.
the jobs I have to get finished.
I think I touched on this about technology, and we talked about tools, I think. Is there any questions from anybody else out in the audience, or any comments or anything with the group? Yes, sir, yeah. I'm Yeah, like,
Find us on the floor, show floor.
well, why don't you ask the question and then I'll determine if I'm okay with it or not. How about that?
What like wet saws do you like recommend? Because we're like currently looking to like affordable but like good quality wet saws.
That's a fair question. So what are you looking, I'm gonna rephrase it. What are you looking for in a wet saw?
Quality, quality. I'd rather invest.
But how can you tell? I mean, do you talk to other contractors?
Yeah, just talk to other contractors, do some research online. That sort of thing.
Reliability, you know. I saw, you know, it used to be the MK, but, you know, there's, trying not to say brand names.
You can get a feel online. I mean,
Yeah.
through Facebook groups, someone posted a saw and they rave about it, and you look at the comments and you see how many people chime in on all the bad things, and you gotta, you know.
Yeah,
Do a search on social media, saw recommendations, and see all the comments. There's like a ton of
Someone
posts
will
on
like
all
it,
the
someone will
pages.
hate it.
Be careful, because, you know, sometimes somebody has one bad experience and they go on there and they say something really bad. But if you look for a trend, I would say,
Right.
I would look for that. But, you know, for sure, there's not millions of products out there. Social media is probably a good place for you to get some good feedback. Do you?
I think most professionals are willing to pay top dollar for a quality tool. They're not looking for the cheapest option.
I like to go to stores that have, like, you know, a lot of, like, I like to keep up with, like, all the innovations and have all the cool stuff, like all the
So
cool
you're a
tools
gadget guy.
personally.
You're a gadget guy.
Yeah, I love tools, you know. So
It's important to take care of your tools, though.
I think it's from like my perspective, being a contractor, like looking at distributors. I like distributors that you know, kind of think about like what we're gonna want to, what's gonna sell, you know, what's hot, you know, on the market, you know.
They're up to date with all the new technology.
Question here, yes.
Full-time employees. That was a lot of paperwork.
You had to have a backlog in order to bring them in, though, probably almost.
So I had a backlog.
Or a leap of faith.
I had a pretty massive backlog for myself. And once the first guy started in December, I was like, I should probably get after a little bit more work. And then I got a bunch more, which afforded us to take on the second guy.
Well, yes, sir.
Congratulations on y'all's successes.
Thank you.
Do any of y'all have an end game or exit strategy for your business?
Matt's too young. We're going to go to Stephen on that.
I'm working on that. I'm trying to figure that out now.
It's called his wife, right? No, I'm sorry.
I'm 49 right now, so, you know, 50 next year. I'm just trying to figure out, you know, at what age I don't want to be, you know, carrying 60-pound bags of mud up the second floor and packing a shower pan.
Yeah, it's,
You know. So that's what I'm working on, figuring out what I can do, what my options are.
I think like when I think about that, I've thought about this before. It's like, you know, after getting involved in the artisan movement, it's like, well, this is pretty cool. Like maybe when I don't feel like setting tile anymore, I feel like setting tile still, but you know, the whole mosaic, you know, creating mosaics and stuff like that, it's super inspirational, and you know,
A little less taxing on
you
the
know,
body.
yeah.
That was one of the drivers for me to actually start building the business, to have folks actually doing the work in the field and then transition to just running a business.
yeah, that's part of your strategy to build. Chris?
Yeah, so I had a goal, I'm 39, I had a goal of retiring at 50. Not sure if that's gonna happen right now. But, you know, my son is 8, and in 10 years he'll be 18, and he loves what I do, and we're gonna kind of see where that goes.
That's great.
But hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years, I mentioned about hiring like a good solid employee, I can get out of the field, and there's some other businesses that I'm interested in. So, you know, I might just transition that completely.
Time's up, yeah. Well, and I would say too, as we close up on that, you know, 22 years of being here at NTCA and being in the tile business for 40 years, what I've seen with a lot is the more you educate yourself, right, the more you learn all aspects of the tile trade and the tile industry. A lot of our members are now that have been setting tile are now off their knees working for setting material manufacturers, working for tile manufacturers. So there's a lot of career opportunities for tile contractors as part of their exit strategy. A lot of them do find other jobs because of the fact that they've become expert in their field. Anyways, did you have one last question? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I mean, I try and communicate with my subs, my contractors as far as I can, and I just try and always, what's your date looking like? What's your date looking like? I try and keep those, I'm like, all right, so I have a week before I'm starting that job, and I can do this job in a week, so I get in there, get out and finish. If it takes me an extra day, so I'm a day late, but like I can keep, all my builds I can keep on schedule pretty well. But it can get hairy sometimes.
Anybody else before we wrap up?
I think it's good to have like fill in like, simple backsplashes and just, like, because in reality, you expect everything to go perfect, but it never does. So having just like little fill-in jobs, like for like, a half a week or whatever, you're delayed by the plumber or so forth. And also being realistic with your time management, like, keeping track of your hours and kind of getting really a feel of how long something's going to actually take versus how long you want it to take.
Sure.
Anybody else, Matt?
Yeah, for me, it was basically knowing what things are going to take roughly. You add in that fluff factor because, like I said, things aren't always going to go perfect. And learning that no is a complete sentence. Can't help everybody, you know what I mean? You can't take every job. So
And being honest, right?
Being honest about
Because,
it. Right.
I mean, don't promise and then all of a sudden you're into the middle of the week and you said, yeah, I'm coming and you're not there,
Right.
right? It's all about, as Chris said before, communication.
Communication, you can't please everyone, but I think at the same time you need to communicate with people, because you want people as well to communicate with you. So.
Well, you guys are admirable people. I mean, you have my respect. Running your businesses, coming to trade shows. You're out of the field right now, right? You're here working on yourself and your business rather and working in your business at all times. Please give them a hand for their work. And thank you so much. NTCA's booth is in Hall C. We'd love to see you over in Hall C at any time. Love to talk to you. Have a great day.